Hello and welcome to Ivycreates. Today we're going to be using an acorn wood cutout from the Dollar Tree. We are going to use this to make a scarecrow and a Santa Claus on either side. It is reversible, so you can use it. I like to use things that I can use from season to season and not have a ton of things, all out on their own. Make it reversible so that you can use it both ways and for a longer period of time. So this acorn, all I did was draw a stem and I did a little bottom piece under the cap of the acorn. And I'm going to start to do some cross hatches like on the top of an acorn, kind of how it looks, bumpy and lumpy and all that good stuff. So if you can for me, please hit that subscribe button, notification bell, share it, like it, all the good stuff, spread the love, and let me know what you think of the project. This project does total under about $5. So, and you can do, like I said, both sides of this. I'm always trying to think of creative ways. I really didn't need an acorn. I have a big oak tree out in my front yard, and I'm not a real fan of acorns, but I am a fan of scarecrows, Santas, snowmen, things like that. So this is why we are doing a scarecrow and a Santa. So stay tuned to the end for the final project pictures. And the things that we're going to be using today are the wood cutout of the acorn from the Dollar Tree, a hula skirt from the Dollar Tree, and paint, Dixie Belle, and a few other types of paint. I'm using a Faber-Castell brush pen right now, but you could use a pencil, so you could erase it if you wanted to. It doesn't have to be permanent or anything like that. I'm just basically putting down a basic sketch because I will be painting over this, and the paint will actually be the final, the way it looks and everything. So a sketch is just a sketch. It doesn't have to be anything special. Now I'm using the end of a pen cap to make the round part of the little eyes and get them spaced. I use it also as a spacer. And so next thing I'm going to do is fill in the eyes and make the pupils, the black part of the eyes, into the shape of a teardrop. And that's going to be, I just made a point on top of the circle and then came down with the eyes, around the eyes. So now you can see I'm starting to make the outside of the eyes and the nose. And this is a scarecrow, so what I did was I looked scarecrow images up on the internet and decided which one I liked and decided which one I could draw, and that's when I went to that. Now you can see the shapes that I'm kind of going for. They're a bit rounded on the eyes, and the bigger the pupils in these, when you're doing a character type thing, the more aesthetically pleasing it is, and it's more endearing to people when they look at it and they can understand it more. So you want to make a humanistic look to a character, but you want to make it over exaggerated. So I'm just drawing this in, very simple design, not hard at all. And you can see I'm now drawing the mouth on the scarecrow, and I'm just putting little X's where a stitch would be. So that's going to be the first part of our scarecrow, and his face is done. Or her face, actually. It ends up being a her. Okay, so you can see this would be the Santa Claus side. And at this point, I hate to say this, but, I get distracted, the dogs come in, and there, I forgot to turn the camera back on while I was drawing Santa on. But you will see a lot more of him, so it's not a hard thing to draw. And I can explain it how easy, and it's something you probably did with eyes, like someone drew in high school doodling on their paper. So it's super, super easy. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the top of the acorn, and I want to lay down some brown paint on the top of the acorn. And I decided that really wasn't quite dark enough, so I got my other brown out and used some of that. Now with this Faber-Castell brush pen that I used, they are more expensive pens, I will say that, so you can use a pencil. I tend to not use Sharpies that much on things that I know will bleed, and these little wood cutouts, they're soft wood and a lot of things tend to bleed a lot on them, especially Sharpies. So don't use a Sharpie. If you have to, use a regular old ballpoint pen or a pencil. So now I'm just kind of laying some color down, color blocking. I'm not doing anything major. The next thing I want to do is pull out my pumpkin. This is a pumpkin color. Now these paints here are Americana paints, and they're in the little paint pots, and I buy these little paint pots either empty, or sometimes if, you know, one of those little sampler paint things is on sale, I'll buy that. And I tend to mix my own colors because I like to have individual colors, and you really should know how to mix colors because that will always save you on paint. Instead of having 50,000 different colors in your collection of paints, you can have your basic, you know, red, yellow, blue, black, white, brown, and maybe a green or something, and then from there you can mix every color there is. So learn how to mix your own colors. This pumpkin that I have here, I mixed, and most of my little paints I put a touch of the rose, the antique royal gold with from Folk Art metallic, and that gives it a little sheen. And you can see I'm actually using it across the top right now, and also I've added some to the bottom, but it gives it the little sheen to it and a little shine, and without being too much of an overpowering gold. And for fall, you definitely want to have a lot of gold. So I'm going back with a darker black on the stem of my acorn. Now I'm adding the lining because I do want this to have crisp, clean looking lines. So I'm taking my black that I have in my little paint pot, and I'm going over all the lines of my scarecrow. I'm darkening in the pupils on the eyes of the scarecrow. And when I'm done, I try to do one color paint at a time as much as possible. It just makes everything simpler to do rather than going back and forth and constantly rinsing your brushes, which I don't do half the time anyways. I go straight from one paint color to another unless it's a lighter color. Usually I start, I guess I start with the lightest color and work my way to the darkest color, but in this case, I'm going over my black lines, and of course make sure that you have everything good and dry before you go from a dark color to a light color. And there's only really the only light color on this whole thing is the whites of its eyes. Now I noticed something about when I was doing this about the scarecrow and the Santa Claus is they have the tendency to look like they're wearing a beret. So that would make them, my French door hangers. So I have Jacques Claus and I have the scarecrow, which I didn't really give her a name. I really need to do that. But so now I'm coloring in around the eyes, giving my scarecrow her blue eyes. Although she kind of looks like a Girl Scout or something. Reminds me Girl Scout for some reason. We could name her Penny. So I'm putting the whites around the eyes, and I just want it really crisp. And the other thing important about the eyes is you want to have a highlight somewhere on the black part of the eye. It doesn't have to be big, it's just got to be a little dot of white. And you want them facing the same direction so that it gives it personality and really shows up, makes it look like it has personality. So the last thing I'm going to be doing is going back and touching up my black on this, and then I'm going to also darken in a few of the lines. Now I'm doing the cross hatches with the lighter brown, and I'm just adding a few little cross hatches in. You do not have to add them all. It's just for effect, so you get the idea that it's there. It doesn't have to be like precise or anything of the sort. You just kind of want it there, and you kind of want it to show. Let's finish up her mouth. And like I said, I'm going over this and I'm just putting an X where the stitches are, or a little cross hatch kind of thing, to make it really noticeable where the stitches are. I hope you're enjoying this, and if you are enjoying this, please subscribe and give me some love and share it and all that good stuff. Make sure that you leave me a comment and tell me what you thought, and if this was interesting and entertaining for you, because we're all about the entertainment. So now you can really see this came out extremely cute. I think it's adorable, and it looks, it's very pleasing to look at with his big sad eyes. So I'm going to go ahead and dry it off before I start on my Santa Claus side. Using my heat gun, you can get that from any Home Depot, Lowe's, big box store, what have you. And of course, don't make it too hot, but make sure it's good and dry before you switch to the next thing that you're doing. So here's Santa, and what I'm going to use on Santa's side is some Dixie Belle cotton paint. And this is because the Dixie Belle has a nice consistency, being of cotton, and it covers really well. So I'm just going to cover the whole thing. Now you can't see, but you not on camera you can't see. I can see that you can still see the lines that are underneath what I've done, because I only put like one coat of the Dixie Belle because I knew what I was going to be doing with this. So I wanted the one coat down, and I could see the lines through the paint to give me a guide as to where I wanted everything. I'm glad you guys are here. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really do appreciate you being here. I hope you look me up on Facebook at Deonna AC. That is Deonna, D-E-O-N-N-A, and then AC. Now I'm using the Dixie Belle Rustic Red to do the Santa Claus hat with. I'm going to be making Jacques Claus. Actually, he has several iterations, like different ones, different Santas he comes out to be. And Dixie Belle doesn't take a lot of paint to use. You can do it pretty quickly, so I'm doing just an oval for a little round nose on the Santa Claus. You'll see right there. It's just a simple oval, and then I'm doing a simple smile down below, and you'll see how that looks in just a few minutes whenever the color comes out. But as far as the red goes, I want to have a little red nose and a red lips on his smile. The first time I went to the Dollar Tree, I didn't pick up the acorn because I'm like, what am I going to do with it? What am I going to do with it? I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I picked up the typical stuff, the pumpkins and all that kind of business. but it just hit me, and that's usually the way things do, and I had to go back and get me the acorn so I could do this project. And a lot of times that's it. You just have to think on something for a little while till you come up with a creative strategy for it. So I'm just waiting to make sure everything's good and dry. And now I'm going to take my black and start lining things in. If I were doing a regular painting, I would not be doing as much line work. I would probably just be, painting whatever it is, and I don't really do a lot of drawing in my painting. But doing the characters and the little things like this, you definitely want to have bright, crisp lines. It just makes it stand out better. Now you can see the types of eyes that I'm doing. They're just semicircles, and I'm putting little eyebrows over them. And they're semicircles, and you kind of do it also another slight semicircle on the bottom of the eye so that it makes it look like they have high cheeks. You can see it's just barely a little curve to the line. And you probably did some of these when you were maybe in high school or something, when you, made these type of eyes for a doodle on your paper when you weren't paying attention in class, like me. So here's our French-looking Santa Claus. Now I'm just adding 3 little eyelashes on either side. I actually do this Santa face quite a lot on many Santas throughout the season. I use them for my oyster Santas, the same type of face. And I do change it up from time to time. So I'm going to start with a curve, just, a little curve on the inside. And this is going to be the inside of Santa's mouth and the bottom of his mustache. Because, all good Santas must have a mustache. And it has to be curvy and fancy. So now I'm just going to roll out I'm using a thin liner brush, and it's a softer thin liner brush. And I'm just going to kind of roll my brush to make the curves that I'm making on the mustache. And they do, if you get like the little protractor tools and they come in a set for drawing and different things, they usually have some sort of curve that looks very similar to what I'm drawing. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel trying to figure out how to draw these things. You can usually find a tool, whether it be a pen cap or a plate or something of the sort. Always remember to go back to, your childhood when you made very simple shapes out of just about anything. What comes to mind is turkeys made out of your handprint. But if you can find a simple shape, you can always start with that and then go from there. My favorite place to hunt for crafts and craft ideas is usually in the toy aisle, because the coloring books have great shapes in them that you can choose from. And, there are a lot of other things that you can find in a toy aisle as inspiration for something that you may be doing. Now, I can draw fancy, I can draw realistic, I just don't like to. I would much rather be faster and have more fun at it. And, of course, my favorite thing is to paint, which is completely different from drawing. Now you can see over the top of his nose I'm making a little half circle again, and this is going to be for his reading glasses because Santa must have reading glasses. And I'm just making little ovals here for his reading glasses, and these are going to be his lenses. And the more I was drawing this, the more and more Santa Claus looked like Colonel Sanders. So this is the Colonel Sanders now of Santa Clauses. So I just, I had to add a goatee because why not? He looks French. He looks like Colonel Sanders. He's got to have a goatee. So now I'm going to go back and add the blue on his eyes. I don't know why both my Scarecrow and my Santa Claus have blue eyes. You make them whatever color you want. You can have green or brown or orange or whatever color you want to make your eyes. You do that. And voila! We have one version of our Santa Claus. And we have our pumpkin. Scarecrow, I should say, not pumpkin. So I decided that, I was not real keen on the all-white face. So I wanted to go back and add in some flesh color. Of course, I'm straightening out my lines because I want them nice and crisp. But the flesh color is like a peachy, pinky color, very thinned out. It doesn't have to be, super orange or anything like that. Just make it a little pinker because, of course, Santa Claus has pink cheeks. And so I wanted to paint up his face a little bit because I'm going to be doing some more to my Santa. You can stop at any point that you want to stop at. It's entirely up to you on that situation. Just stop whenever you want to. So all I'm doing is adding a little bit more color to his face. In fact, his little glasses, you could either, color in the color of his face, or you could make them black and make them sunglasses. Whatever you want to do, it's your Santa Claus. He can be whatever you want him to be. Now he looks like he has some color to his face and he's not ghostly. This day that I was doing this is just, oh my goodness, my dogs were just distracting the bejesus out of me. And so you can see my Santa Claus as Colonel Sanders as he wants to be, or Jacques Pepot, or whatever. Call him Jacques Claus. But yeah, my animals were really being distracting today, and so I kept cutting off the camera. What I'll do is pause it, and then I go do whatever I gotta do with them, and I come back and I start working before I forget to turn the camera on. So you can see I already added some of our hula skirt to my little Scarecrow, and I added a couple of the sunflowers that you can also find at the Dollar Tree, the little mini sunflowers. They were super, super cute because I just wanted her to have. So all I did was tie a bow. Now, you know, I added that. I didn't have to, but I did. And I added the hula skirt, which is raffia. That's all it is. And then, you know, I looked at it and you can see the raffia from the Santa Claus side, and we really don't want that. We want it to look a little bit better than that. So, you know, being as extra as I have to be, since I added the hula skirt stuff to this side, I should also maybe add some more stuff to the other side. So, because we don't want it just showing. So Santa Claus is about to get another makeover. Santa Claus is going to be now hippie Santa Claus. And he might be a surfer dude. He's no longer Jacques. So we're going to be adding some raffia to Santa. And first thing I want to do is go in and kind of white out his goatee and his mustache a little bit. I don't need it quite as lined as it was with my black. And so I'm also taking that same, I'm using Dixie Belle cotton, and I'm just kind of gently pulling down the white on the raffia so that it looks like it's painted white. And you'll see this again. I'll show you, you know, you'll notice when I get everything finished, I have to dry off the paint real quick, and then I can add all my raffia to my Santa Claus. And you'll see what he looks like. He looks like a total hippie dude. But, you know, he's cute. Very cute. So the thing that I'm doing is tying a knot in the end of my raffia or hula skirt. And when I do that, it makes it easier to glue to things. And I'm just going over the mustache with the white so that it's not so noticeable, the line in there. You can still see it, but not a whole lot. So I was trying to figure out how I can put this raffia on his face to make it look like actual hair. And so I was trying a few different ways and a few different things. And I found, you know, of course, with the knot, that you can glue it real easily. Now what you want to do is you want to put the raffia down on the glue right below where the knot is in your raffia. And the reasons for that is you can see the different sides. It's just easier to glue that I find. So that's the way I did it. Rather than having all the raffia sitting out like I did on the other side, I just found it a whole lot easier and a lot faster to do it if you put a knot in it first. And you'll see I do this throughout this project. So I go back afterwards and I trim the knots off. And I trim off any extra hair. And I do know that I'm going to be putting cotton at the top of this. So I had some cotton balls and some other things laying around. And so I put cotton at the top, and that'll cover the hair coming out of the hat. Like I said, we have a real sophisticated Santa here. He wears a beret, not your typical Santa hat. So now I'm putting on the goatee part or the beard part of the Santa. These I kind of did glue individually because I was trying to shape it around the little mouth. And make sure you use your silicone finger tipper that I got from Dollar Tree, because you do have to press down on the glue with this raffia, and you will burn the tar out of your fingers. So you can see he's starting to come together now with a little bit more hair and a beard. I hope you're enjoying this project. If you are, please subscribe. and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our videos. Now you can see I've got this one knotted and I'm gluing right below the knot, and as soon as the glue is set I will cut the knot off. And I'm pushing this back so you can see it's set a little bit, put a little bit more glue, pull down the other hair. And if I had been smart and thought about this in advance, I would have started down at the bottom of the goatee and worked my way completely up the Santa Claus with hair instead of working my way down. And that way I wouldn't have had to bend it back and then glue more underneath it. Thank you for joining me today. I'm glad you're here and I really do appreciate your support. Please check out any of the links that I have below the video. So again, I'm putting another knot in the end of my hula skirt piece. And I'm going to glue it down right below the knot and then press it into place and then cut the knot off. And pull down the hair and press it down. And as I go, I'm kind of trimming, and you don't have to be precise in anything about this. You just kind of trim as you go along, and it's really, really easy. So I'm going to make the next knot for the remainder of the mustache of Santa. The thing I love about raffia is it's very forgiving. And was so excited to see, that's what Dollar Tree made their hula skirts out of this year, so that was pretty cool. So I'm just kind of gluing things in place where I need them to be, and I will add a couple more pieces right in the middle there to cover up the rest of his beard. And now we have Hippie Santa, or Professor Santa. He's a completely different dude now. Alright, so now you can kind of get an idea. He's got blonde hair at the moment, but we're about to fix that. So we're going to get our Dixie Belle, and this is the thinned down, watered down Dixie Belle that I had of cotton, and I'm just kind of haphazardly going across the raffia with the Dixie Belle. You do not have to be precise on this one either. You just kind of haphazardly go through and add the white color, because the idea is to add the white on this side and still have it look like straw on the other side, because we want them to be all one item. Always remember, if you're doing reversible or double-sided items, whatever you do to one side, you got to do to the other. So I'm just haphazardly across the top adding the white in, and you will see in a minute that it doesn't go on the other side and it looks just perfectly fine. So I've got Hippie Santa, and he's wearing a beret currently, but we're going to fix that in a minute. He's going to look like he's wearing a fat Santa hat because he apparently has a big head. So I'm taking some cotton balls and going to put them across the top, because Santa has to have his fuzzy hat surround. And I'm just gluing that. I'm just using my glue gun and the regular glue and gluing that up on top. Crafting and painting should be fun and relaxing. Should never be difficult or hard. It should be something that you learn from and something you enjoy. And I hope you've really enjoyed watching this today with my happy little Santa and my happy little Scarecrow. Yes, I am making fun of my favorite Bob Ross. Please subscribe, like, share, all the good stuff, spread the love. Check out my links below. Check me out on Facebook. All the good stuff to keep in touch. Because I would really like to know who you are that are watching my videos. And if you are a subscriber, please do leave a comment and let me know that you watched, so that I know my subscribers are actually finding this entertaining and informative. So I'm putting just a little dot of cotton up on the top of the hat. And I kind of go and clip it a little bit so it doesn't show so much on the other side, because like I said, once you do to one side, you got to do to the other. And that way I do end up going back and adding, of course, you know, my trademark, I got to have some glitter. So I add some glitter glue, the iridescent glitter glue. It doesn't show up on camera anyways, but this is pictures of the final products, and you can see the gold sheen on the Scarecrow, and you can see that the white color did not show through on the Scarecrow side where I painted the actual Santa Claus. Thank you so much for watching. I'm glad you were with me today, and I hope that you will join me soon for another fun craft adventure. Thank you.